channel. Today we will be doing some questions on AC circuit analysis. Okay, so the first question is the circulating current in a parallel LC circuit at any resonant frequency is. We have to find out if the circulating current at any resonant frequency is directly proportional to frequency, inversely proportional to frequency, or independent of a frequency, or none of the above. So we have to actually do the analysis here. So for that we have to first draw the LC circuit. The parallel LC circuit is going to be drawn here. So let me draw the first parallel LC circuit and then we will do the analysis. Okay. So LC. So this is our voltage and let the current be in this direction, I of t. Okay, and V of t at t is equal to 0 is assumed to be V0. Let it be V0, and I of t at t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0, what happens? T tends to 0, S tends to infinity. So our inductor will be open circuited, right? XL tends to infinity, that is inductor will be open circuited, that is no current is going to flow through the circuit at t is equal to 0. So I of t at t is equal to 0 is 0 ampere, right? So we know all these things, and now we are going to do the analysis over here. For that, for t greater than 0, for t greater than 0, what happens is we have to write the Kirchhoff's law. Okay, for writing the Kirchhoff's law, at t is equal to 0 there was a voltage over here, that is V0, so we are going to consider that as well. Okay, I am going to travel from here, so it will be V0 minus the current through the voltage across the capacitor is given by 1 by C integral I dt, right, minus L into di by dt. We know that the voltage through an inductor is L into di by dt. So we get V0 equal to 1 by C integral I dt plus L into di by dt. And now taking the differentiation once again on both sides, d by dt of a V0 is 0, and the other one is we get I divided by C plus L into di square divided by dt square, right, d square I divided by dt square. Okay, so d square I divided by dt square. And now solving this particular differential equation, I will get I of t equal to a into cos 1 by root LCT plus theta into theta ampere. So I of t equal to a cos 1 by root LCT plus theta. This is the current through the circuit. The general equation of the current through the circuit is given here. Now at the time t is equal to 0, I of t equal to 0 equal to a cos, this becomes 0, right, 0 plus theta into 0 plus theta ampere, that is a cos theta, it will become a cos theta. But at time t is equal to 0, we know that I of t is equal to 0, so I am going to substitute that. So a cos theta is equal to 0, that means cos theta equal to 0. When will theta I of t is equal to, when will be theta, when will cos theta be equal to 0? When theta is equal to 90 degree. So I am assuming I got theta is equal to 90 degree. Now substituting that in the equation, that is I of t is equal to a cos 1 divided by root LCT plus 90 degree, and this is cos 90 plus theta, which is equal to minus sin theta. I get minus sin 1 divided by root LCT. Okay. And I of t I got equal to minus a sin 1 divided by root LCT, because we are doing this because we have to find out the circulating current. Now what is A? We have to find out what A is. So L into di divided by dt at t is equal to 0. I am going to find it out, which is equal to minus A into, I am going to differentiate it. I will get, let it be, first of all I am going to find out di divided by dt. So it will be minus A divided by root LC into cos 1 divided by root LC t. Right. And now L into di by dt, that is the voltage across the inductor at time t is equal to 0. We have already found it out, it is V0. So I am going to substitute that over here, that is V0 equal to L into di by dt, that is L into di by dt is equal to AL divided by root LC into cos 1 divided by root LC t. So it will be minus AL divided by root LC into, it is at a time t is equal to 0, so this will be cos 0, which is equal to 1. From here I get A equal to minus, I am going to cross multiply it, I get V0 into root LC divided by L. That is our A. L is actually root L into root L, and that one root L cancel out, and A equal to, we get A is equal to minus C by L V0. A is equal to minus C by L V0. We got that, and now substituting that in the equation, I get I of t is equal to minus root C by L V0. And I of t we have already found out. Okay, and I of t we have already found out that it is minus A into sine 1 divided by root LCT. So instead of A we are going to write minus into minus V0 divided V0 into root C by L into sine 1 divided by root LCT. From here we get I of t equal to V0 into root C by L sine 1 divided by root LCT. From here we have to find out if this circulating current is dependent upon frequency in any way. Okay. See here, I of t is not inversely proportional or directly proportional to our frequency, resonant frequency. We know that resonant frequency is actually 1 divided by root LC, which is over here, which is inside our sine. That means it is not linearly dependent, neither inversely proportional nor directly proportional, but also it is not independent also. It is dependent, but it is dependent upon the sine value. Okay, so we cannot say that it is inversely proportional or directly proportional or independent. We have to choose the option, it is none of the above. Okay, hope you all understood it. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. By a voltage E is equal to E sin omega t, where LC less than 1 divided by omega square. We have to find out if a current lags the applied voltage, current leads the applied voltage, current is in phase with the applied voltage, or voltage across inductor and capacitors are equal. So here we know that in inductor it is L in V is equal to L into di by dt. That is, voltage leads the current by 90 degree. There is a phase difference in current because it is differentiated. And in capacitor, I is equal to C into dV divided by dt. That is, current leads voltage by 90 degree. It is always not 90 degree, but we can say it is 90 degree now. So here it is asked LC less than 1 divided by omega square. So I am going to rearrange it and write it as omega square less than 1 divided by LC, and omega less than 1 divided by root LC, right? So we know that root 1 divided by root LC is actually our resonant frequency. So omega less than omega F. So if I draw the graph here, this is a resonant frequency, and this is the frequency we are talking about, the frequency before our resonant frequency. So XL is actually L omega and XC is actually 1 divided by C omega. From here we can find out that our inductive reactance increases when omega increases, inductive reactance increases, and vice versa. Now if in capacitive reactance case, when omega increases, in capacitive reactance decreases, and if omega decreases, capacitive reactance increases. That means at the low frequencies XC is greater than XL. That is, the circuit will act as capacitive in nature at low frequencies. And if it is capacitive in nature, that means that the current leads the applied voltage in this circuit. So for omega less than omega F for series RLC circuit, please keep that in mind, in series RLC circuit, or for omega less than omega F, the circuit will act as capacitive in nature, and if it is capacitive in nature, that means that the current leads the applied voltage. Okay, so option B is the correct answer. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statements. In a series RLC circuit, the angle between the inductor and the capacitor voltage is 180 degree. Let's see if that is true. We are asked if the statements here are true or false. So we can take it one by one. So first of all, the first statement here is, in a series RLC circuit, the angle between the inductor and the capacitor is 180 degree. So let this be our VR, that is a voltage across the resistance, and the current is actually in phase with our resistance only. And we know that in inductor, voltage leads the current by 90 degree. So our VL is actually here, 90 degree. And in capacitor, current leads the voltage by 90 degree, or voltage lags behind the current by 90 degree. So VC will be here, 90 degree. That is a total angle between VL and VC. That is what is asked here, is 180 degree itself. So that means the first statement is correct. And now move on to the next statement. In a parallel RLC circuit, the current accepted at a resonance is maximum. It is what is asked here. So in a parallel RLC circuit, we have to find out if the current accepted at a resonance is maximum. As a parallel RLC circuit, the current accepted at a resonance is maximum. So let's see what is the impedance of a parallel RLC circuit. That is equal to 1 divided by root of 1 divided by R the whole square plus 1 by XL minus 1 divided by XC. This is the equivalent impedance of a parallel RLC circuit. At a resonance, what happens is 1 by XC equal to 1 by XL. So this thing will go completely, and what we are left with is Z equivalent is equal to R, and the current is equal to, current at a resonance is actually voltage divided by R. So it will be minimum, it won't be maximum. The minimum current will be occurring at resonance in a parallel RLC circuit. And the next one is this, in a parallel RLC circuit, at a resonance, the sum of inductor and the capacitor current is maximum. the sum of inductor and capacitor current in a parallel RLC circuit at a resonance is actually in the opposite direction, that is equal to, that means there is no equivalent resistance 1 by XL equal to 1 by XC. That means this 2 will act as open circuited. Sorry, there is no equivalent resistance in a parallel RLC circuit. What happens at a resonance is 1 by XC is equal to 1 by XL. When that happens, that means the total Y equivalent, that is across, representing the capacitor and the inductor, is gone. That means there is no effect of a capacitor and inductor in the circuit. There is only the resistive element that is there. So there is no current across, the total current across the capacitor and the inductor will be equal to 0 only. That means it won't be maximum at a resonance, it will be equal to 0 at resonance. Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. That means the only thing that is true here is our statement 1. So the option is A. Now let's move on to the next question. Thank you. Let's move on to the incorrect statement of the following. Here the first one given is the transient free condition is present for both AC and DC, possible for both AC and DC excitation. So that is not true. Transient free condition is not possible for both AC and DC excitation. Means transient condition is the, if we define transient condition, the small ripples that will be there before it reaches a steady state value, that is known as the transient condition, that will always be there in a circuit. So that is not true. That is not a possible. Transient free condition is not possible for AC and DC excitation. So for both AC and DC excitation, next question. In the next question, pick up the incorrect statement of the following. For that, we will take that those statements one by one. The first one is a transient free condition is possible for both AC and DC excitation. Transient free condition. What is a transient? A transient means the response of the circuit before it is reaching the steady state. For example, if we are in a lift, before the lift takes off, there will be some turbulence, right? Before it is going to move smoothly. So that is the turbulence as a transient condition. So transient free condition is not possible in most cases, but theoretically it is said that transient free condition is or can be occurring in a purely resistive circuit. In a purely resistive circuit, there will be no transient. It is said that because there is no memory elements, because we know that resistance is not a memory element. It cannot store or give energy, it just passes energy. But in case of L and C, that is our inductor and capacitor, if they are there, what happens is they are memory elements. They can store energy in the form of a magnetic field and electric field, right? So if they are there in the circuit, that means that is not possible. Transient will occur if L and C are there in the circuit. So transient free, this statement is false. So the transient free condition is not possible for both AC and DC excitation, especially in the DC excitation if there is a inductor and a capacitor. Now coming on to the next statement, it is said that resonant frequency is unique for a given circuit, which is true. Resonant frequency, what is the resonant frequency? It is 1 divided by 2 pi into root LC. Whenever L and C changes, there will be the change in the frequency. So that statement is correct. And the next one is for RC impedance function, the rightmost root is, sorry, the farmost root is the pole. That is not true. Farmost root is not the pole. And for the next one, the network with only resistances act as an attenuator. That is true. A network with only resistance can act as an attenuator. And the next one is because attenuator means something which reduces the voltage, right? Reduces the voltage, amplitude of the voltage we can, but at each resistances there will be a voltage drop, so which is equal to IR. So it can act as an attenuator. So the next one is the current magnification occur in a series RLC circuit at resonance. No, a current that is not going to happen in a series RLC circuit. In a series RLC circuit, a voltage magnification occurs at a resonance. Let's do the analysis here, so it will be more clear. First of all, I am going to draw an RLC circuit, a series RLC circuit. So this is a series RLC circuit. This is our resistance. This is our inductive reactance, and this is our capacitive reactance, and this is our voltage. Okay, and now a current I is passing through this, and write in the equation of I will get V divided by R plus J XL minus J XC. Or I can write V divided by R plus J into XL minus XC. If I take the modulus, that is the correct way, that is equal to R square plus J into XL minus XC the, sorry, no J, right? So it will be XL minus XC the whole square. So now what happens at resonance? What happens? XL equal to XC. That means our I equal to V divided by R only. And please keep that in mind. And now if I take the voltage across each component at resonance. Okay, at each component at resonance, we will see the voltage across the resistances V is equal to I into R, which is equal to V is equal to, instead of I we are going to write V divided by R into R. So it will be V only, no magnification is there. What is given as the input is appearing across our resistance. Next, come on to our inductor. So it will be VL. The voltage through the inductor is equal to I into J XL, right? This is the resistance. So I into R, instead of R here it is J XL. So sorry, VL is equal to I into J XL. Instead of I we are going to write V divided by R into J XL. Taking the magnitude, I will get VL is equal to, J will go, the rest will be V into XL divided by R. This XL divided by R is actually our quality factor, right? That means VL equal to Q into V. That is our input voltage is magnified by a factor of Q. That is our quality factor. And similarly, when we do the analysis about our capacitor, we will get Q into V as well. That means there is a magnification of voltage across this inductor and capacitor at a resonance. So I can tell that voltage magnification occurs in a series RLC circuit at a resonance, not current magnification. So P is false, R is false, and T is false as well. Okay. So option number D is the correct answer. P and R and T are false. And now let's move on to the next. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statement related to resonance. In a series RLC circuit, the admittance at a resonance is maximum. That is the first one. We know that in a series RLC circuit, our Z equivalent is equal to root of R square plus XL minus XC the whole square. At the resonance, what happens? XL equal to XC. That means our Z equivalent is equal to R. Y equivalent is equal to 1 divided by Z equivalent, which is equal to 1 divided by R. This is our admittance, right? So at a resonance, we get Z equivalent is minimum at resonance. Before and after resonance, there will be a value for Z equivalent greater than R. So Z equivalent is minimum at resonance. That means that Y equivalent, which is the inverse of Z equivalent, which means that if Z equivalent is minimum at resonance, that means that Y equivalent is maximum at resonance. Okay, so the first statement is true. In a series RLC circuit, the admittance at resonance is maximum. Okay, now let's move on to the next statement. In a series RLC circuit, the combination, in a series RLC circuit, the LC combination at resonance is like an open circuit. It is asked in a series RLC circuit, what is the LC combination at resonance is like an open circuit. We know that at resonance XL minus XC is 0. That means 0 resistance means it acts as short circuit, not open circuited. When open circuit is there, that means it will be infinity. The resistance will be infinity. In short circuit case only, the resistance will be equal to 0. So in a series RLC circuit, the LC combination at resonance act like short circuit, not open circuit. Okay, so that statement is false. Here it is open circuited. Okay, open circuit. The statement is false. In a parallel RLC, next statement is, in a parallel RLC circuit, the angle between the inductor and the capacity current is 180 degree. So it is true, in a parallel RLC circuit, the angle between inductor and the capacity current is 180 degree only. So in the next statement is, in a parallel RLC circuit, the nature of the circuit is capacitive for F less than F0. That is asked here. In a parallel RLC circuit, in the first question, I think it is in the first question, right? No, in the second question, we have discussed about a series RLC circuit where before resonance, the circuit will act as capacitive in nature. Whatever is said in the series RLC circuit will be the opposite in parallel RLC circuit. That's the difference. That means if in parallel RLC circuit it is said that before resonance it acts as a capacitive in nature, that means if in series RLC circuit it is said that the circuit will act as capacitive in nature before resonance. The same thing in parallel RLC circuit, before resonance the circuit will act as inductive in nature. So this statement is false. If it was inductive in nature, it would have been true. Now it is false. And now let's move on to the next statement. In the next statement, in a series RLC circuit, the current magnification will occur at a resonance. Earlier I have proved that in a series RLC circuit, voltage magnification occur at a resistance, not current magnification. So that statement is false. So S is false, T is false, and also Q is false. So option number D is the correct answer. Now moving on to the next question. A unit impulse voltage is applied to one port network having two linear components. If the current through the network is 0 for t less than 0 and decays exponentially for t greater than 0, then the network consists of, we have to find out what is the network is consisting of. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. A unit impulse voltage is applied to one port network having two linear components. If the current through the network is 0 for t less than 0 and decays exponentially for t greater than 0, then the network consists of, we have to find out what does the network consist of. So I am just going to draw an RL circuit in series. Okay, so it is given that it is a unit impulse voltage. We will see what is the response of an RL circuit. a series RL circuit. This R, right? Series RL circuit. And now the current is I of t, and writing the Kirchhoff's law, we will get, actually we can write it after taking the Laplace transform. So it will be SL, and we know that the Laplace transform of del of t is 1. So writing it 1 minus I of s into R minus I of s into SL equal to 0. From here, I of s equal to 1 divided by SL plus R. From here, I am going to take out L. So it will be S plus R divided by L. Right. Taking the inverse Laplace transform, I will get 1 by L into e raised to minus R by L into t. That means it is given in the question that if the current through the network is 0 for t less than 0, it is obviously going to be 0 for t less than 0, because it is a unit impulse signal that will be there for t is equal to 0 only. So if the current through the network is 0 for t less than 0 and it decays exponentially for t greater than 0, that is, this is going to decay exponentially for t greater than 0 because it is negative of exponential. So it will definitely decay exponentially for t greater than 0. So R and L in series is the correct answer. We don't need to do anything other than that. So thank you. Let's move on to the next question. In the next question, the current response in a series RLC circuit with R is equal to 4 ohm, L is equal to 2 Henry and C equal to 0.5 Farad and excited by a step input is. We have to find out if it is what type of damping is there. So there is a formula for finding out the damping ratio, that is eta is equal to R by 2 into root C by L. Please keep this formula in mind. So we can substitute that in this equation. So it will be eta is equal to, instead of R we can write 4 by 2 root C, that is 0.5 divided by 2. We get 1 as the answer, that is it is critically damped. Option number A. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. In the next question, we have to find out, match the list 1, that is the waveform, with the list 2, that is RMS values, and select the correct answer using the codes given below the list. Okay, so the first one is half wave rectified sine wave of 2 amplitude, 2 ampere. Okay, so what is a half wave rectified sine wave will look like this, right? This is pi, 2 pi, and again from 2 pi it will be 3 pi, 4 pi, and so on. So this will be the waveform for first one, half wave rectified sine wave of a 2 ampere. And now if I write the equation over here, I of t is actually 2a, that is ampere only, right? So it will be 2 sine theta for 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to pi. Otherwise it is 0, right? From pi less than or equal to, actually theta, no, it is t, I'm sorry, less than or equal to theta less than or equal to 2 pi. So the period here is 2 pi, and we have to find out the RMS value. RMS value is square root mean square value. That means we have to first find out the square of this and then take the mean of that, and then finally take the square root of the square's mean. Okay, so first of all I am going to take the square. I square t is equal to 4 sine square t theta, and taking the equation here, we have to find out what is the okay, now we have to find out what is the value of mean. So mean is actually 1 by 2 pi. It is divided by its own period. So it will be 0 to 2 pi I square t. So that is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral 0 to 2 pi 4 sine square t dt. And it is, we know that it is only up to pi. So I am going to replace it with pi. And next, okay, then next it is 1 by 2 pi 4 I am going to take outside, it is 0 to pi 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by 2, cos 2 t divided by 2 into dt. Integrating, we will get 4 by 2 pi, and here just taking 1 by 2 outside, it is t minus sine 2t divided by 2 0 to pi. So it will be 1 by pi into pi minus 0 minus of 0 minus 0. So it will be 1. So the first question's answer is half wave rectified sine wave. We get 4, that is A 4. And next we can see full wave rectified square wave of 2 ampere. Full wave rectified square wave of 2 ampere. So it will be like this. It is full wave rectified square wave. So will be a continuous line, right? So we'll draw a continuous line, and the period here is, actually there is no, it is 2t, we are assuming it as 2t. This is t and this is 2 ampere. Okay. And now taking the square of it, that is I square t equal to 2 square, because it is 2 always, so it will be 2 square, that is 4, and taking the mean of it, I will get 1 by 2t integral 0 to 2t 4 dt, which is equal to 1 by 2t into 4 into 2t. So I will get equal to 4. This is our I square, mean of I square. We have to find out the RMS value, that means the root of 4 is the answer, that is 2. And the second B's answer is 2, that is 5. B is 5. And next we can do the next thing, that is half wave rectified square wave of 2 ampere. Wasn't that thing? Okay, this is a half rectified, right? So if I write it, it will be, then nothing is here, and then again this is t, 2t, 3t, etc. So it is 2 ampere, and writing the equation, we get I square t is equal to 4 itself, but for 0 less than t less than t only, because after that it is 0, equal to 0 for t less than 2t. Okay, and now taking the mean of it, I will get 1 by 2t integral 0 to t for dt, which is equal to, let me take the RMS value right away, RMS equal to root. Okay, so 1 by 2t integral 4t, so it will be root 2. That means C's answer is root 2. Where is root 2? Third option, right? So C is 3. And the last one is full rectified square triangular wave of 3 ampere. So I am going to draw a triangular wave that is full rectified. It is given in the question that it is full rectified, right? So 3 ampere. This is our T by 2. Let us be T, and next again 3T by 2, and this is 2T. So we have to write the equation of this particular triangle from 0 to 2T T by 2, that is, I am going to find out the equation here, that is I of t minus y1 is 0 equal to m into x minus x1, right? So m is actually 3 divided by t by 2, that is 6 by t into t minus 0. So I of t equal to 6 by t into t. Now we have to take the square of it, that is 36 t square divided by t square. And now I am going to take the RMS value, that is equal to 1 divided by t by 2. Now I am taking just the from 0 to t by 2 only, because I have taken the equation from 0 to t by 2 only, right? So I am taking that as the that as the period, because this is symmetric. This is symmetric. We will get the same answer if we take this side also. So I am just going to take from 0 to t by 2 only. So it is 1 by t by 2 integral 0 to t by 2 6 by t into t dt. Sorry, 36, that is square. Okay, 36 t square by t square into dt, the whole raised to 1 by 2, that is the RMS value. So I am going to take the RMS value, that is IRMS equal to 1 divided by t by 2, 36 t square is coming outside, the rest is 0 to t by 2 t square into dt, the whole raised to 1 by 2. So it will be 36 into 2 divided by t cube into t cube divided by 3, 0 to t, whole raised to 1 by 2, 72 divided by t cube into 1 by 3 into t cube. It is actually t by 2, right? So it will be t by 2 divided t cube divided by 8. So it will be 3, that is root 3. So the last question's answer is root 3. It means D is root 3. No, 1. D 1. So let's look at the option A4, B5, C3 and D1. Okay. Now let's do the next question. Here the next question, match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct answer using the codes given below in the list. A series RLC circuit is overdamped. If it is overdamped, that means the characteristic equation of a series RLC circuit, I am going to write the characteristic equation of a series RLC circuit here. That is S square plus R by Ls plus 1 divided by Lc equal to 0. And here the roots of this equation are S equal to minus R by 2L plus or minus root of R square divided by 4L square minus 1 divided by Lc. So our damping factor is determined by what is inside this root, If it is greater than 0, that is real and distinct, that means that is over damped. If it is equal to 0, that means it is critically damped, and if it is less than 0, that means it is under damped. Okay, so here it in the question it is said that it is over damped. That means r square divided by 4l square minus 1 divided by lc should be greater than 0. That means r square divided by 4l square greater than 1 divided by lc. So the first one, sorry, A is matching with fifth one. So A 5. The next one, the unit of a real part of the complex frequency is Nefer per second. So second one is B is 6. And the next one, if f of s is a Laplace transform of f of t, then f of s and f of t are known as transform pairs, right? So it is C8. And the last one, if f of t and its first derivative are Laplace transformable, then the initial value of f of t, that is the initial value theorem, that is limit f t tends to 0, f of t is equal to limit s tends to infinity s into f of s. We all know that. So it is D1. So that is the option A. Okay. So with that I am going to finish this lecture. We'll see in the next video where we'll be solving some more problems on AC circuit analysis. For now I am going to stop this lecture. Hope you all understood what I am teaching. Thank you for listening this much, and thank you for stopping by this channel. If you liked it, please share and subscribe. Please like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you.